Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. And for Valentine's Day today, my gift to you is my review on My Bloody Valentine. As I have nothing else to do on Valentine's Day because I'm single. Starting with my positives on My Bloody Valentine is the mine history. Now, for someone who lives in Montana, there is a lot of mine history with over 116 men getting trapped underground here and just being the biggest disaster in mine history. For someone that learns more about the mine history and how we built a bunch of copper during the war and how without our mine there wouldn't be electricity, I find it interesting how I really just enjoyed the mines scenes in this movie because when I look at the mines, I'm like, you know, it looks pretty cool down here, down there, and it looks pretty realistic. I don't know. It's a small positive, but just for someone, like I said, that lives in Montana, it's just a short little thing that I liked. And I like how this movie is kind of like Friday the 13th Part 2. You get an interesting villain, you get the goofster, and you get the old man warning all the kids that they're doomed. Now, the Friday the 13th Part 2 and My Bloody Valentine came out in the same year, but I like to think that My Bloody Valentine was being filmed as the time Friday the 13th Part 2 came out. I don't know, but I just really like you. I also just really liked how many homages there were to it because when I was watching this movie, it wasn't distracting like at all. I actually liked it. When I was watching the movie, I was like, "Hey, these are kind of cool references to Friday 13." And you even get like a small town in this movie where it's kind of like Friday, later it's kind of like Crystal Lake. Hell, there's even like a little Easter egg, I guess you can call it, that if you were paying attention, the the Valentine's Day in this movie was on Saturday the 14th, which means it takes place a day before Friday the 13th. Get it? Get it? Okay, I'll stop now. I think this is like the only reason that this movie is really remembered by, and that is the gore in this movie. This movie probably is one of the goriest horror movies I've seen from the early 80s. Now, if you're a horror fan like me, and if you even know that this movie exists, that this movie was heavily edited, sorry, by the MPAA, and that it took out, I want to say, 3 to 2 minutes of gore scenes in this, where I own the steelbook of My Bloody Valentine by Scream Factory. Now, I've seen other YouTubers online. They've been saying that the versions they own are very rough when it comes to those things, but mine, it was rehanced for this version, where it was rehanced for the rest of the movie, which I'm glad to see. But at the same time, I was kind of worried, like, are you sure this is the extra gore because it's not getting rough or anything? But no, no, that was they were put back in, which I was glad to see. Now, if you're ever going to watch this movie, I say try and find the Scream Factory, rather the Steelbook or just the collector's edition one, whatever. Just try and get the unrated version of this movie, because to me, it's really the only way to watch it. When you try to watch the regular version, you're like, wow, I wonder what that could have looked like. Well, now you can. I really like the characters in this movie, though. There are some characters that are forgettable, but let's be honest, a lot of 80s characters are pretty forgettable. Look at Friday 13th, there's no memorable characters in there. Maybe only Tommy Jarvis, I don't know. Maybe there's other ones. But anyways, there are some characters that I actually like TJ, Sarah, and all the other characters. I think they were all pretty cool. I think the only one I didn't like was the goofball character. I forget his name. I think that would be the only character I didn't really like. But at the same time, I can't help but liking him. For the people that I'm friends with, he kind of reminds me of their humor. Kind of my humor in a way. Didn't make me laugh at all, but hey, that's the humor they're into. But I guess to them it's funny for him to snort beer into his head. Wait, what? Speaking of the characters, continuing that discussion, is Harry Warden. I think he's an interesting villain for this movie. Now, the only thing that kind of holds him back from being a great villain, which I will talk about, but I do really like this Harry Warden character where He got trapped under the mine because two workers abandoned their post to go to the Valentine's Day party, which is kind of the plot of this because it's a huge celebration that they're finally getting a Valentine's Day party because of the incident when two workers abandoned their posts. And before the miners safely got out, a huge gas explosion happened and traps 6 to 7 miners, maybe. I don't know. I think they said six. And then Harry Warden, to keep himself alive, they were down there for a few weeks, I'm pretty sure. He converted to cannibalism to stay alive. Now, in the remake, if I'm not mistaken, I believe he killed the miners to preserve oxygen, which in this one he just killed them and then ate them so he wouldn't die. He's an interesting character, and he killed the two workers that were responsible for that, and then he leaves like a warning: if you bring back a Valentine's Day dance, everyone will pretty much die, and he's gonna come back and he's gonna mess everyone up. Which, yeah, don't mess with him. I really like the little relationship side story of TJ and Sarah and the one guy. I forget his name. He's the guy at the end that we all don't like to talk about. Axel, that's his name. Axel, TJ, and Sarah. They're all fighting. Well, TJ and Axel are fighting over Sarah, and like TJ, apparently he left just to be someone. I guess maybe go to college. I don't know. They don't really say. He just said that he just left, and then Axel got together with Sarah, and TJ's like, I don't care, I'm not jealous or anything. But really, he missed Sarah, and he wished that she didn't got with Axel. Not she, he believes that Sarah belongs with TJ, and then they have like this little bickering, like with Axel and TJ. They're fighting over Sarah, like she's with me. You need to get over it. TJ's like, you and I both know who she really wants, and then there's like this little bickering. It's a nice little side story and chemistry with the actors, and the acting between all of it is really pretty good. It's making it feel realistic. Some people may like, why is this in here? Why is this in the plot of this movie when I just want to see this Harry Warden guy just mess people up on Valentine's Day, rip out their hearts. It's a nice little side story for me personally. It doesn't just show that this is a movie about a guy messing people up on Valentine's Day because Valentine's Day is about love, I guess, but and yet they show this little love story here, and it shows the purpose of Valentine's Day anyway, as I should put it. Now on to my negatives of My Bloody Valentine, which is I only have one, is the twist ending. Remember when I was talking about how Harry Warden was a pretty cool, interesting character, but what only holds him back from being a great villain? This is why. Spoilers if you have not watched the movie, because if you haven't, totally understandable, very underrated movie though. At the end of this movie, you find out that Axel, the guy that TJ, the one guy that's been fighting with TJ over Sarah, it turns out that he has been killing everyone and dressing up as Harry Warden and killing everyone on Valentine's Day. And why is he doing it? Because Axel's dad was one of the workers that abandoned his post and then Harry killed him. And so Axel decides to keep that momentum going for Harry Warden. Wait, what? So you're meaning to tell me that the person that killed Axel's father, and he's gonna agree with Harry Warden to do all this stuff? Harry Warden killed him because he abandoned his post, and the reason that Harry Warden had to eat all those people and had to go into a mental asylum for years. Really, he should be blaming Harry Warden, not his father. What? The thing, you think that all these people hanging out with Axel for like years, wouldn't they have noticed that maybe he's a little bit batshit crazy in his head? I don't know, man. It's really dumb. All in all, guys, I really personally enjoyed this movie. This is a movie I like putting on during the Valentine's Day season because it's the only thing I can really do during the Valentine's Day. Nonetheless, I really enjoyed this movie. To me, this is one of my favorite horror movies. Now, it would be in my top 10 if it weren't for that twist ending. I honestly think that this could have been a really big franchise if they didn't ruin the ending. they didn't ruin the ending with trying to do like a twist ending thing with this one guy doing a copycat thing, kind of like from Friday the 13th Part 5. This really is a Friday the 13th ripoff. Like I said, I think this is a must go out and buy it because I feel it's a very underrated horror movie for its time. For a movie that came out in 1981, it's a pretty damn good one, and I like rewatching it. And apparently, this is Quentin Tarantino's favorite horror movie, which is a very unpopular pick, even though he said that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre is up there with very few perfect movies. Is he saying this one's perfect? If he does, he better have a damn good argument on the ending. If not, then I don't see why this is his favorite. But overall, how was your guys' Valentine's Day? Was it good? Were you single? Were you taken? It's kind of a weird question to ask. I need a life.